Hello, Tobias. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you ready to talk about stuff you love and hate and want more of?
Yes, I am, because this is episode 2 of the monthly love and hate round hump. Round
Yeah,
hump? What did I just
round
say,
hump.
Craig? The round hump. Shit. Welcome, one and all, to the monthly round hump.
We hump stuff that we love and we hump stuff that we hate, and we hump what we want more of as well.
This is what we're here to do today.
We're here to hump films.
We are
So,
about to hump some films.
yeah.
So Craig, what are you going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what we like first. I'm sure we've
Yeah.
established that by now. What
Yeah.
did you like this time round?
Let's first mention, just in case anyone hasn't heard this little game before, because this is the second time actually we've done it, and I actually quite like this game. It's not really a game. It's kind
It's
of a
not a game.
conversational thing.
It's a monthly round hump.
Yeah, round hump. So what we do is basically we give each other 5 minutes to talk about something we liked, then another 5 minutes to talk about something we hated, and another 5 minutes to talk about something that we want more of. Who wants? Should I go first, or you want to go first?
You go for it, man. You go for it.
So I'm going to start. Put a little
Start your
timer.
timer.
Okay, it's starting. So I've been watching The Staircase. The Staircase. It's about this guy. I forgot his name actually. Basically, his wife died falling down the stairs, and he was wrongly convicted of murdering her.
I shouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah, it sounds a bit silly now, doesn't it? There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened in between. Like, it's mostly a court thing, really. I actually quite like legal stuff, to be honest. But at first I was actually really apprehensive about watching it, because I watched the documentary first, and it's really good. The documentary, really good. Like, I think it's like a 8 or 9 piece documentary series, and it was filmed by these French guys who were just like filming at the time, and they followed him over like I think more than 8 years. So I think he initially went to prison in like 2002 or 3, and he finally got out like legally in 2017. They just kept repealing the case. There's lots of stuff that was like unfair. Like the guy who was accused, he used to write in a newspaper about how much he hated because he was a writer. He published some books. How much he hated the police and the mayor of the town. And then it seemed, a bit dodgy that they're trying their hardest to get him arrested. But there were some things that he did that didn't really help his credibility. Like, for example, he said he lied that he got like a Purple Heart medal in the army. And he also was bisexual and was having an affair sometimes. Like, I think he was paying for toy boys basically to come to his town, and he would go and fuck them. And then, so like that, when in court, that looked really bad. Like, maybe he killed his wife because she found out that he was sleeping around with men and stuff like that. So there's all that happening, and you kind of see the kind of fallout in his family. And I should tell you about the cast. You'll be surprised. Arnold Schwarzenegger's son is in it. I forgot his name. Yeah.
No, he would have told me.
And so the main, apart from him, he plays the son of the main guy. I really forgot his name. So Colin Firth plays the lead role. He's pretty good, actually. I don't think he looks that much like the guy, but he has the essence of him. The way that he handles himself is really spot on. Tony Collette plays his wife who dies. And we have Sophie Turner as one of the daughters as well. And Michael Starberg as well is also in it. He plays the lawyer, and he's exactly like the guy. He really captures him perfectly. He looks just like him as well.
This cast is stacked.
Yeah, it's pretty good cast, and there's some other names I've definitely forgotten about. So yeah, part of the reason I didn't want to watch it was really because of the documentary, and I was hearing things that the guys who made the documentary kind of felt a bit like crossed out. But then I watched it, and they're featured quite heavily. The documentary is quite a big part of the story that these guys were making it. and they came from Paris all the way to this town. I think it was Durham in North Carolina to film it. And yeah, if it wasn't for this documentary, no one really would have known. Like his chances of probably of getting out of prison would have been much lower because there was evidence that was kind of fabricated and lied about. And the main guy who delivered his evidence on the case was a bit of a bullshitter, basically, and he went to prison as well. So anyway, yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I was thinking that they would it would be kind of a bit of a knockoff compared to the documentary, but I'm actually pretty impressed with it. I did also hear, though, the guy whose the story is about didn't know they were making a TV show, which I think is a bit dodgy, by the way. Like, imagine something happened in your life and someone made a film about it and you just didn't like tell the guy. I think that's a bit of it's not very ethical. I've nearly finished it, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So I do recommend. That's why.
Staircase.
Yeah, The Staircase.
How do we? Is it accessible on like a streaming service? Like, is it a Netflix thing, or how would I watch it?
Oh, on HBO if you have HBO Max.
Oh, okay, I don't, but I'll. It's maybe worth getting now. This does sound good. Like I say, stacked cast.
Yeah, very good cast.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Is there a rating that you could give to The Staircase? Have you finished it?
What am I rating out of like 7 Colin Firths?
Who else is in it?
Tony Collette, Sophie Turner, Michael Stahlberg, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, which I don't know his first name. His last name is Schwarzenegger, but I don't know his first name.
Okay. Let's call it. Let's do it out of 18 and a half Schwarzeneggers. Let's do it out of 8.5 biceps.
I would give it at least a 7, because I don't know, because I've already seen the documentary and I quite like things to be factually accurate, and I'm wondering how much is factually accurate. I've heard some rumors that the guys who did the film, the French film crew, disliked their portrayal a little bit because they felt that the producers, it gave the impression the producers had too much control, but actually they had a lot of control over what they did. So, and yeah, they also felt like they were cut out. So that kind of gets to me a little bit. So, but
is the documentary the same name?
It's the same name, yeah, and it's on Netflix, so you can watch the documentary actually.
Okay, I'll check out the doc.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
So cool. Yeah, I'll give it at least. What? How many biceps did you say? 8 biceps.
Initially, I said 18 and a half, and then I said 8.5, and like I think just give it out of 10. Fuck it.
Now you've made it more complicated. Okay, at least an 8. I'm quite pleased with it, to be honest.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. I think you've sold me on it for sure.
Nice. 1 down.
1 down. I'll warn you now, Craig. I haven't written any notes for my films.
I know. You're gonna have to do your best.
So I'll give you I'll give you my I like it and I shouldn't like it first.
Okay.
Because I didn't love it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Yeah. Tell me when you've pressed the stopwatch.
I pressed it twice, but it didn't work. Now. No.
Okay.
Wait. Cool. Now go.
All right. So earlier this week, or a little bit last week, I watched M3gan spelt with a 3 instead of an E. It's a horror film about like Chucky in it. It's like a doll that is going to kill you, or Annabelle. But this doll has been developed. It's like Small Soldiers. This one, so it's like an animatronic, not animatronic. It's like a robot in it. It's just a toy robot that looks like a doll, but it's like a human size, like a child-sized doll. It's like artificially intelligent. It learns as it interacts with children. So like it's designed to be like your kid's best friend, essentially. So this film follows the inventor of this robot toy, who is played by the daughter who lures the dude in Get Out, the girl that's like coaxing all these black guys back to the ranch so they can do what they're doing and Get Out. She's in it. She's the inventor of this artificial intelligence, this code, this program that's self-learning and all that. And she's implemented it into a toy for whatever fucking reason. You're doing it in a toy, but whatever, it's a toy. And they're sort of beta testing it on her niece, I think she is, whose parents have recently died in a car accident. So this little kid is like really socially not adjusting very well to the loss of her parents. So they give her this M3gan, spelt with a 3, and like M3gan becomes like friends with her. But of course, it's a horror film, so this M3gan thing is gonna eventually learn, oh, I'm gonna do things to keep my human happy, and obviously it leads to a bit of death and a bit of murder. But when towards the end, the doll really takes on like a character. Before, it sort of feels like mindless intelligence in a robot, but the last sequence is very much like, no, this AI has a personality, and we find something out that's like, this AI isn't quite new. She's been working on this AI for some time, and the AI has memories of its first inception. It's not just like brand new. Like, this thing has had a whole life before it was M3gan, essentially, which I thought was quite interesting. And in one line of dialogue, it gives you loads of context, and you're like, oh, that's really tight writing. But the doll does look like they've gotten a sort of a kid that's trained in acrobatics and body contortion to play the doll. Like, it doesn't look like a robot a lot of the time. It just looks like someone made to look like a robot. But it does provide weight within the scene, because obviously so often in the Chucky films, it looks like a doll that's being operated by a remote control in the face rather than genuinely animated. Whereas this, it physically did move, within the space seamlessly. But yeah, it was all right. Like, I went into it expecting to hate it, and I thought, I like that. That was all right. That, I mean, I don't particularly want to see more of it, but I don't particularly want them to make M3gan spelt with a 2. But I didn't hate it. I expected to hate it, didn't hate it, and I thought it was surprisingly. There were a couple of moments I thought, this is written way better than this film deserves. But some of the dialogue's pretty shitty, I won't lie. It's still a horror film. But if you like horror films, like, it's not sort of high art horror. It's just horror, in the same, it's very much in the guise of Child's Play. Is that my 5 minutes?
Yeah, you had 15 seconds left. Well done.
Oh, okay. Well, M3gan with the 3. M3gan with the 3. It's decent. I don't think you'd like it, Craig.
Maybe not. When you messaged me on Facebook saying to me that you watched M3gan with a 3 written inside, I was like, probably just a spelling mistake. I thought you were watching something about Meghan Markle, whatever her name is. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Why on earth was I watching that? Well, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but like I say, I don't know why I've used it up for my like of the month, because like, I didn't like it really.
You've got to be better prepared next time, man.
I've got to be better prepared. But at the same time, it's fine. I still enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. I've not really loved much this month, in all fairness.
Fair play. Do you have something to hate? Because I have something to really hate.
Well, you go first. I've got something to hate, but I like M3gan with a 3, which I didn't love. I just liked it. with my hate one. I don't hate it. I just don't dislike it.
Okay, fair enough. You're going for a calm month,
Yeah,
starting the year
basic.
off easy.
Yeah, I'm going calm. Dry January. This.
Yeah. All right. Should I get going?
Yeah, yeah. Hit me with it. Get on your 5 minute timer.
All right, I'm on. So I watched the Cloverfield Paradox, and it was really shit. I was really disappointed because I watched like a few weeks ago. No, actually, not even last week. Actually, I wanted to see all of the Cloverfield films because I've only seen the first. So I thought, okay, let's watch 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I was really nice. I really liked that. That was a really good film. I really liked John Goodman in it. And it made sense and it felt like the best of what J.J. Abrams can do, his kind of stuff, especially reminding me of Lost, like when it was good. This film, Paradox, just doesn't make any fucking sense, man. Have you seen it?
No, no. I've heard only bad things.
I went into it not knowing anything, so I assumed probably it's all right. I later found out after I watched it, it has like a 20% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Basically, the big issue with it. Well, actually, let me tell you what happens first. So basically, there's these guys, scientists, in a space station above Earth, trying to find a new source of energy. They're going to make like some kind of power station in space that will solve all of Earth's power issues, power consumption issues, because the oil is running out and there's tension on Earth that people are going to start having wars and stuff. Yeah, so they try to make this machine. They've been trying for like over 2 years up in this space station. It's not working, and they're very worried that it won't happen. And then one day it works, and they rip a hole basically from their dimension into a new dimension, another dimension. And it's really the idea is good. I actually really like the idea, and I really think this film could have been good, but they fucked it because nothing makes sense. Like there's so many like little things. Like why is it like this? Like one of the there's some really tired tropes as well. Like for example, one of the main kind of bad guy kind of guys is a Russian guy, and it's like, come on, guys, can we have a bad guy who isn't always Russian? Yeah, I know now we're in a war. Like Ukraine is fighting Russia, and no one's going to be pretty pleased on them. But this film is from 2018, and it feels like every film there's always a Russian bad guy, and it's getting a bit tiring. But the real issues of this film are the sci-fi elements that don't make sense. Like, for example, they later find out that so in this other dimension that they also existed there, and they were trying to do the same thing, but their spaceship crashed on Earth, and they all died basically. But some things are swapped around, so now they have them in their spaceship. They don't really explain that; it doesn't really make any sense. And at one point, Chris O'Dowd is in this, by the way, from IT Crowd.
I did know he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and at one point he gets his arm sucked into the wall of the ship, and it gets ripped off, and then it comes back a bit later, and it has a mind of its own, and it can write and stuff, and they put it in the glass box. And like they don't really explain why that happened, because if their ship crashed, surely Chris O'Dowd's character would be dead in that the bottom of the ocean. So why is his arm still alive? But that's the even more annoying is that so he gets most of his arm cut off and he has a bit of a stub, right? But then at some point in the film, he just doesn't have a stub anymore. He just has like an empty sleeve. It's like, what happened to the stubby bit that was left of his arm? They just removed that, like, and we're just going to pretend that it wasn't there. And apart from the sci-fi stuff, there's a lot I could talk about. Like, there's a whole bit about the Russian guy. He has this thing stuck in his stomach. It's a gyro thing that helps him, like a compass. And like he doesn't know it's there, and it's just they rip out his stomach. But the protagonist has kids that die, and she wants to go back to Earth and see them. But the thing is, she never said anything about this before. And at the beginning of the film, there's no sense that she was grieving or nothing. It's like, where the fuck did that come from? Why aren't you sad at the beginning? You were with your husband, and you were joking and laughing, and you're having a great time. Now your kids are dead. Like you didn't say anything about that. Where did that fucking come from? And there's a lot of other cliches as well, like David Oyelowo. I never know how to pronounce his name. His character sacrifices himself. It felt really kind of obvious and cliche. And there's some other stuff. I have to stop now because I'm almost basically at 5. But yeah, I'm stopping now. But yeah, I have so much to complain. It doesn't make sense about that film.
I mean, like, because obviously J.J. Abrams, is he involved in it? Is he like directing it? Is he just a producer on the film?
I think he's just a producer, but you can feel his touch a bit. Like if you're familiar with it, like if you've seen Star Trek and the Star Wars movies he directed and Lost, there are some things that he kind of reminds me of like a slightly more modern but a little bit cheaper Steven Spielberg in some ways. Like he doesn't quite have the touch, but he's a bit more modern. You know, that's how I kind of think of him. Doesn't quite reach it the same level. So yeah, it's a real shame because that film could have been actually really good because it was a good idea, but the execution was shit, to be honest. It's like someone writing a sci-fi film who's never watched a sci-fi film. Could I have 3 more seconds to moan about 3 more things that pissed me off?
Oh, go on, hit me with it. We always said we'd extend. We always would extend the hate section of this. To be fair,
we should, yeah. And to be honest, my notes for the Cloverfield paradox are like 3 times larger than my notes for the other things.
Go on, go for it.
So towards the end of the film, after several of them have been killed and stuff, they need to go. They want to start the power station thing in the Jiggy up again, so they can go back to their dimension and save the world, basically. But they don't have enough power. So what they need to do is apparently they need to turn off the oxygen for 2 minutes. The oxygen being added in, not like just to remove the oxygen, but just to stop it being pumped into the ship. And to do that, that's the only way they can get enough power. Then some shit happens. They lose a quarter of the ship. It falls off. And they just do it anyway. And there's no issues. Like, where did you suddenly get the power from? You just lost a quarter of the ship. And suddenly you don't need any more. And then there's this whole thing about ventilation. So 2 of the scientists realized to get to this power station to work, they just need to ventilate. Oh, it's just getting all this condensation and stuff. It's too much moisture. And I'm just thinking, like, this is a really like basic thing. Like, I'm pretty sure they would figure this out ages ago. It would like it's like a big thing. Like, oh yeah. But like, I don't know. I think scientists it wouldn't be such a big thing. That I think that'll be an obvious problem that they would spot. Yeah, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, you'd think so. You would think. Well, no. You know what? You had a rage in you, and you unleashed, and that's healthy.
There's so many problems. So
you would not recommend?
No, I mean, not even to recommend for something stupid to watch. It's just too stupid. Like, especially if you like sci-fi and you like stuff to make sense. Like, particularly actually when the protagonist reveals that she had 2 kids that died. Like, this completely came out of nowhere. Like, you just question the whole purpose of the protagonist. Like, I don't know. That was beyond stupid, in my opinion.
What would you rate it? What's your rating? I'm guessing it's not the worst piece of shit you've ever seen.
No, I have seen worse shit. Yeah, I have, definitely. But this was an utter waste of time. So, all right, are we going out of 10 again? Let's do it out of 10.
Do you want to do it out of... why don't you do it out of 14.5 Chris O'Dowd's?
Oh, this is like probably Chris O'Dowd's most pointless performance. I'll probably give it about...
Worse than Thor 2.
Oh, I haven't seen that, so I can't say. I'll give it at least a 3.
He's actually pretty good in Thor 2.
I will say that he was okay, like, in this film. I did feel like I was expecting him to make me laugh. And at some points, it did feel like he was trying to be the comical element of it, but he didn't really land at all. Like, I was really expecting him just at one point to go, have you tried turning it on and off again or something stupid like this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I think of him breaking into Hollywood, to be honest, because I really think he works very well in comedy. And it's hard to see.
It is weird when we see someone like that's pretty big on English TV breaking Hollywood, and we see them in like totally different roles. It is a bit strange, you know. There's that Irish woman. I think her name's Ashleen something. She's on a lot of the panel shows, but then like I'm seeing her pop up, you know, in like these Hollywood films, and I'm like, shit, you know, fair play, girl. Like get out there, you know. But I remember you on Mock the Week. You know, don't forget where you came from. You know, but yeah, it's always nice when you see your countrymen do well out in Hollywood, especially when you don't expect to see them. Like I lost my shit when Olivia Colman won Best Actress, and you know we would have known Olivia Colman for decades on TV before she went out to Hollywood. And I always said all she needs is a movie where Hollywood recognizes her, and she would win an Oscar. And I always said it. And I never thought I would ever see a reality where I'd be proven right.
Yeah, she's really great.
She is. Are you ready for my film?
Yeah, are you ready now?
Yeah, but just before I go into it, I'll just say so. This film, I didn't hate it. I just disliked it. But like I say, it's probably the sort of thing I'd like. So it's love and hate for you this week, but for me, it's liked it, but I should have hated it, and disliked it, but I probably should have liked it.
Okay.
Speaks to my sensibilities. This next film.
All right, are you ready?
I am ready, sir.
All right, go.
Okay, so the film I'm going to talk about is a film called The Invitation. Have you heard of it, Craig?
It sounds such a vague title that maybe or maybe not.
Well, it's recently come out, and it's a vampire film. Big twist. But there's a couple of faces that you'd recognize in it. But the general plot is an American girl is sort of headhunted by this charming English dude. And he invites her to this mansion in England, and she's like, "Is this all right?" And he said, "Yeah, come. You know, it's going to be really fun." Blah blah blah. But they're not like a couple or anything. Then they're just two random people, and he invites her to England. That's red flags immediately. I don't know why. Like I say, I did not like this film, not really. So she gets lured to coming to England for the first time. She doesn't know anyone there. She goes to this mansion, and the guy that she's come with, like surely she would expect, oh, this guy probably wants to like bang me or something. He's whisked me off to like a foreign country, and he's taken me to a mansion. And then like the owner of the mansion comes over, and he's like all over her, and the fella that's brought her just doesn't give a fuck at all. And it's like, how are you not seeing all the red flags here? Like, so anyway, long story. And this guy as well, he's so good looking. Like, if you met him, you'd be like, obviously you're a vampire. Like, there's no, of course you're a fucking vampire. So yeah, so like, cut a long story short, because not much actually goes on. Most of the film is him sort of like luring her into like a state of vulnerability, and where she wants him. So it's very 50 Shades of Grey for most of the film. And then you got like a couple of moments where you'll see like the hand of a vampire behind her, but then she looks around and it's not there. And so like there's very few jump scares to speak of. There's very few scares to speak of, if I'm perfectly honest. And then, as I say, I mean, I'll skip a bunch really. Towards the end of the film, they're at this big dinner, and now all of a sudden he's been whining and dining her. Now all of a sudden, anytime she says that, he's just fucking flat out ignoring her. And they're all talking about how he's a vampire, and all the people at the table, they're like his familiars essentially, but they've brought him this sacrifice because he needs to have 3 wives instead of just 2, because 2 isn't enough for a vampire, obviously. And, it's just so contrived. And then obviously, so it turns out that basically this is her wedding day. This is the whole purpose. So she can marry this fucking vampire. And Obviously, they've been doing this for hundreds of years. And yet, this is the time that when they lock her in a coffin to wait for her wedding, one of the housemaids at this mansion suddenly gets a change of heart, regardless of how many times they've probably done this over the years. She gets a change of heart because, I don't know, this girl speaks to her or what or something. I don't fucking know. So she helps her out. She fucking legs it. But she goes to seek help at the wrong house that are also fucking in on the vampire thing. So then she gets a maid killed for literally no fucking reason, just to get recaptured again. Oh god. And again, then the final, we get like we have this wedding, and we've been told earlier in the film, oh yeah, if you become one of the vampires like him, you'll have his strength for as long as he dies. Oh, well, I wonder what she's going to do. She's going to fucking marry him, get the powers, and then fucking fight him. Obviously, like, it's not a fucking surprise. And when you do it, I'm not remotely surprised. Like, it's so, they signposted it from the get-go that that's what's going to happen. So she fucking beats the shit out of everyone at this wedding, nearly kills him, and then she has to have a fight with one of the other wives, the other vampire brides. They get into it, but then the other vampire bride's like, you know what? I've got a change of heart too, and I'm gonna fucking help you. So then, like, the two wives start fighting each other while the main girl goes off to kill him, and the two other girls end up killing each other. All right, let me finish. They kill each other, and then then she kills him, and then she loses her powers, and that's the end of the fucking movie.
I liked how you got angry towards the end. You didn't start off too angry, but you got angry.
Yeah, but the more I talk about it, the more it's like, it's fucking nonsense. Like, it's a nice idea. Like, I can see why I should like it. It's dark. It's, you know, the way they've sort of, look, if you'd done it a bit more like From Dusk Till Dawn, where you really don't see it coming, then I think the film could have worked. But you just signposted it so early on that, you know, they're fucking vampires. Well, he's a vampire, and she's literally there because they mention that they're there for a wedding, but we don't know who's getting married. Obviously, she's going to be the one getting. It's just so fucking obvious. But it could have been a decent idea, honestly. I mean, I know I've already had my 5 minutes. I'll just tell you. So the main girl is actually, I don't know what other movies she's in, but she was in fucking Hollyoaks as Sasha, and I always liked Sasha. So seeing her in like a Hollywood film, at first I was like, where do I know her from? And yeah, you know, it clicked. She's bloody in Hollyoaks, and she's great, and she's playing American, and everyone else in the film is English. So I'm assuming it's an English film, but I'm not entirely sure. But the butler of this vampire mansion, Sean bloody Pertwee, and I fucking love Sean Pertwee. And like, this is the thing, he's the best thing in it, and he's barely in it. He's literally just a stoic butler. He barely has much to do, but the bits he does do, you're like, oh, come back, don't go off screen just yet. I love Sean Pertwee.
Who is he again? I know that name, but I've forgotten who he is.
So he's actually the nephew of John Pertwee, who was a Doctor Who, maybe the third Doctor Who, I believe, from way back when.
Okay.
But he's also been, so Sean Pertwee was in Equilibrium as father. He's in, what is it? Event Horizon, I think he's in. Is it that one he's in? He's in, God, like literally loads. He's Alfred in Gotham, the TV show Gotham. He's Alfred, which I also think is a great choice for Alfred. He's in one of my all-time favorite British films called ID, that football hooligan film. I think I've showed you before, Craig.
Yeah, we should talk about that one day because it's a very good film.
Yeah, that's definitely worth doing a pod on. But he's in that. But yeah, Sean Pertwee. I mean, if you've got your computer up, just get like a picky up of him. You'll definitely recognize him. He's in everything. Yeah, you can see him. Yeah, yeah. He's basically in everything. He's brilliant. He's very prolific. He does a lot. Oh, he's in Dog Soldiers. Did you ever watch Dog Soldiers?
I may have. It does sound very familiar.
I
It
like
might be
Dog
one of
Soldiers.
those films that I've seen, but I can't remember I've seen.
It's a good one. Werewolves in it. So yeah, that's the invitation. Like, I absolutely can see how people would like it. It just wasn't for me. I found it too contrived, too signposted every step of the way.
Yeah,
I
fair.
suppose when you do callbacks in a script, you know, it can be really good writing, but I think if you don't do it quite right, you're just signposting what's gonna happen, you know, later on in the film, which isn't clever writing. But like I say, not a piece of shit. Like, you know, I didn't hate it. It didn't get me angry.
It did.
I mean, it did towards the end there, yeah.
All right, man. Shall we
All
move
right.
on to our last segment?
Yeah.
Stuff that we want to see more of.
Stuff we want to see more of. Let's do it.
Okay.
You go for it first.
All right. Just going to take a little chug of my beer because I have a dry mouth from talking so much about things I hate.
I'm so jealous of your beer.
Ah, you should have got one.
I
I only told you a second before we start recording. All right, here I go. So, I want to see more of Doom Patrol. Have you heard of Doom Patrol?
What? The DC thing?
Yeah, I started watching it recently.
You're watching that?
I am actually, yeah. I kept
With
seeing
Brendan
it pop up.
Fraser.
It's got Brendan Fraser in it, yeah. It's mostly him doing a voice though. He's doing the voice of Robot Man, who's this guy who was a not rally. What do they call it? Where they do that like around in circles in American
NASCAR.
racing. That's it, yeah. He basically had an accident and his wife died, and the only thing that survived was his brain, and they put it
But he's not having a good time.
No, yeah. Well, this is the thing about all of the guys. So basically, they all live in this manor called Doom Manor, and they all have kind of powers, but they don't really have very good control of them. And it's kind of suggested that you get the hint that it's really because they're not very well-rounded individuals, and they have their own psychological issues that kind of prevent them from being potentially heroes. And actually, they don't really want to be heroes. They don't really want any responsibility. So apart from Brendan Fraser's character, who's basically a robot, you also have a woman called Rita Farr, who's played by the woman. I think her name's April Bowdry, and I recognized her. She was in Two and a Half Men. Do you remember there was a character called Cindy in Two and a Half Men? Did you ever watch it?
Was she the one that was stalking Charlie?
No, she was a redheaded woman that Alan marries.
Don't know.
Okay. Anyway, she's in it, and she's really good. Actually, all of the cast I'm actually really impressed with so far. Who else is in it? We also have one guy who was a pilot, and he used to fly above the atmosphere into space, like back in the 60s. And then he had this radiation thing happen to him. And like basically he's covered in like bandages, and he has this like thing called a negative man, which pops out of him. And he has no control over it. It just comes out when it wants, and it hates him. He also has some issues himself because he's actually gay, and he's always tried to hide his sexuality. And he has some kind of issues, kind of like accepting that, I guess, because even in his memories he has when he's with his former lover, he doesn't want to be around other people. He doesn't like really being open about it. He wants to just be with them. And the person that he loves basically is annoyed that, like, just accept who you are, basically. And Rita Farr's character, who I mentioned a second ago, she basically used to be a movie star, and one day she inhales some toxic gas while filming in Africa, and she's basically, if she gets too upset, she turns into a blob, and she has no control over that. There's one really funny bit where she gets stuck inside a ventilation thing. Like, she's just walking down the hallway, and her leg starts to melt, and she falls through a vent, and then she gets sucked all the way through the thing, and then she's like 5 minutes late to meet the rest of the guys. And she said that literally she got stuck in something. So they're all kind of like superheroes if superheroes were losers, basically, and they all have their own personal issues. Cyborg is also in it as well, but he's a young. And one of the biggest cast members is actually Timothy Dalton, who plays like the kind of the chief, the leader. and he basically looks after them. And I accidentally read somewhere that I think a lot of the reason he looks after them is not because he cares about them, but more because he's seeking to live forever. And you notice quite early on that all of them should be a lot older than they are. Like two of them are born in the 1920s, and one of them is born in the 1950s. Brendan Fraser's character is a robot. So he's kind of, it looks like he's looking for a way to live forever. And it's questionable what his motives really are. But he's mostly a good guy. But one of my favorite characters is neither of them, actually. It's actually Alan Tudyk. I don't know how you pronounce his name. He plays Mr. Nobody, who's basically the bad guy, and he's like the narrator of the TV show. And he's very funny, actually, and he does a really good performance. And he basically doesn't really exist in a way. He kind of like is part of the universe and can kind of control everything around him. And yeah, sometime at one point they go into his world, kind of, and like he basically can manipulate them through using their own thoughts and anxieties against them, which is exactly their biggest weakness because they're all not really whole people. They have their own issues. And yeah, it's pretty funny. It gets very deep at times as well. And I found out there's 4 seasons actually. So yeah, I'm going to watch all of them. I'm now almost through the first season. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. And that's my 5 minutes.
Sweet. Nice. Have you seen Titans?
No. Is this the film or TV show?
It's a TV show about the Teen Titans. But I believe Doom Patrol debuted in that. And then they got their spin-off show from that. I believe. I might. Maybe it's not Titans. Maybe it's another one. But I'm sure there's Doom Patrol. Because I've not seen it. But I'm sure I heard that it was a spin-off of one of these DC shows.
Well, I do know that it's been around for quite a while. I think the original comics were, I actually don't know, maybe before the 80s even, so I'm not sure. But I don't know how long the Titans have been around either, so.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure either. My comic book knowledge is not too vast. It's certainly not very DC vast. I'd probably know more about Marvel. Well, yeah, I might give it a go. Because I tried watching Titans, and I just remember watching the trailer, and it was Robin like beating the crap out of someone, and then he just goes "fuck Batman," and I was like, okay, I'll watch that. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, nah, I probably won't watch episode 2, and I didn't. It was a while back. Yeah, I wasn't keen to carry on watching it.
I don't know about Titans, but I think probably Doom Patrol is a bit more grown up.
I might give Doom Patrol a go.
Yeah, give it a go. At least see the first one. Yeah, Brendan Fraser's quite good in it. You basically, in the first episode, you get to learn basically how he became a robot. He's pretty much the main character, really. Yeah, they're all messed up people, and it's all quite nice. Yeah, it gets really weird.
I'm down. You've sold me on Doom Patrol.
Nice. All right.
I've got one more film to talk about, and then we're done.
Okay.
So I'm ready for you to start the timer. I'm about to talk about something I'm waiting to see more of.
All right. Why is it not playing? There we go. Go.
Okay. So I not long ago watched the new Avatar film. I went to the cinema. I got the full experience. I enjoyed it, this new Avatar film. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the first film. I think it's visually a masterpiece, but that first film, the narrative never really spoke to me. I thought it was basically, rehashing old ideas, and also hiding behind really sort of cheesy writing. And like, I just think having an element called unobtainium is not good writing. I really don't like that as a plot point within the first Avatar film. And it's literally what the whole plot is centered around, is them trying to get unobtainium. And so what happened? And then by the second film, no one mentions it. And you're like, oh, what happened to the unobtainium? It's like, oh, I guess they couldn't obtain it. It's although, to be fair, there is something that they're looking for in the second one. It's now whale brain juice I'm not actually going to explain that more. I think it's best to go in without any context except whale brain juice. That's a tough sentence to get through. But yeah, it's basically Avatar 2 is basically the same as the first, except now we're in the water, and it the writing. I believe it came up with like 5 writers in the credits, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good that there were other writers there to stop James Cameron doing things like Unobtainium. So it seemed a little bit more focused. It's setting up a larger story, which I'm always like. I always like that when I can see the scope. That's what of what's to come, and we get to experience the blue people in Avatar in a different sort of tribe. They've evolved slightly different because they're water people. So it's kind of cool, and it sounds like they're going to be doing more variations on this species. Apparently, someone was telling me we might see the Ash tribe, which are like living in the volcanoes or something. I'd love to see a desert tribe, an Arctic tribe. Give me as many environments as you want and give me avatars for those environments, and I'll be pretty signed up for it. Give me good action scenes. But, it's not without its shit. There is still some shit in there. There's like a little boy character in it that's like growing up with them. And it just makes no sense that like this little boy grew up on a planet that he can't breathe on. So you just always have to wear a face like a ventilator. It's sort of weird. It's really weird. I don't get it. Don't know how they've gotten away with that. But the CGI does hold up when you put him next to them. It's like, shit, okay, that does feel like they're in the same space, which is really impressive. The visuals are really impressive. The soundtrack is really good. The direction is James Cameron on point, big blockbuster director. Some of the themes are really good. They talk about family a lot. They talk about growing up a lot. They talk about sacrifice a lot. There's a lot of themes in it. I think there's something for everyone. I think dads will like it for the action. I think mums will like it for the emotion, the emotional family story. And I think the kids will love it for all the amazing creatures, amazing set pieces, and beautiful, beautiful set design and CGI. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing more. I don't really know what else to say about it. Have I had my 5 minutes?
No, you still got a minute more if you like.
Still got a minute more. Oh, I'll vent. No, look, it's not without its issues. It's I don't want to give spoilers because this is very much a big blockbuster movie that's still out now. So I don't want to do spoilers, but I do think the bad guy is, not great, but not terrible either. I enjoyed him. It's just I'd like him to be a bit more imposing. Also, Jake Sully, and I forget the character of the Avatar he falls in love with in the first film, but those two sort of take a back seat, and the kid characters take the center stage in this one. Essentially, doing a Terminator 2 again is James Cameron. And I liked all that. I liked all the kid stuff. One thing that's jarring though is Sigourney Weaver, who's like in her fucking 60s, plays a 14-year-old Avatar thing, which I think is it's a bit jarring because you know that Sigourney Weaver is a 60-year-old woman. And yeah, that's pretty much my bit on Avatar. I'm looking forward to Avatar 3. I heard that they might, instead of doing 6 movies, they might just do 4. As long as they keep this momentum from the second film up, because I really didn't like the first one. So as long as they can keep this going, and like now, I'm basically seeing Avatar 2 as Avatar 1 for me, where Avatar 1 and Avatar 2 have set up this universe. Now give me a really juicy story to get my teeth sunk into. You've sold me on the universe, Cameron. You've sold me on it. You've got my. It's taken you 13 years and 2 movies to pique my interest. Now you've got it. Give me a good story to get involved with, because so far it's all been much of a muchness. very samey so far. But I'm looking forward to seeing what else he'll do. I'm sure it won't be bad. I just might not like it. Because obviously the first Avatar, not bad. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I didn't find the first one particularly interesting, but yeah, I'm open to see the second one. And if you're right, if they can keep up the standard and they continue to keep it good,
Yeah,
then yeah, I'm totally
I'll
up for
definitely
watching
keep.
more.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep watching if it doesn't get shit. But yeah, I would, like I say, I'd recommend the second one for sure. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. It's way better than the first one. I'll try and keep it spoiler free. I think I've
Nice.
already mentioned a lot, but I will keep it as spoiler free as possible.
To be honest, based on the first one, you have to give spoilers, otherwise people won't watch it.
Suppose so.
You're expecting,
so.
it's probably going to be crap like the first. Oh, okay, someone's telling me something about it. They say it's good. They explain this and this. Okay, now I'm more convinced I might watch it, basically. You're doing a good service.
I've definitely not given anything away about like the last sort of 2 hours of the movie. It's a fucking long movie, but I never felt bored. You know, there was never a point in the 3 hours in the cinema I was like, anxious to get out and like stretch my legs or anything. I was pretty comfortable watching the movie for 3 hours without a break. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Never felt bored. So yeah, I'd give it. I've not given any of my things a rating. You've rated all of yours.
I have, yeah.
I'll rate mine. So, what was it? Megan spelt with a 3. I'll give it Megan spelt with a 2 out of Megan spelt with a 3.
Well, that's not so harsh. Halfway.
Yeah, it's like it was like I liked it. I probably should have hated it, but I did like it. The Invitation, I'll give it 3 years out of 3,000 years. Didn't like it at all because it's about vampires, isn't it? Or should I do it out of teeth? Should I do it out of teeth?
How many teeth you give it?
How many teeth are in a human mouth? 32, is it? 34?
Something like that. No idea.
I'll give it 3 chipped teeth out of a mouth.
All right, you're pretty creative with these.
To be fair though, like in all fairness, that's probably a bit unfair. It's probably better than 3 chipped teeth. Maybe just 3 good teeth or 3 gold teeth. But no, like I say, I'm being a bit harsh on it. Like it wasn't a big piece of shit. No, you know what? I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. However teeth out of a mouth that is. Let's say 10 out of 34 teeth.
Okay. Bit more fair.
And Avatar, I'd give it 6.5 blockbusters.
No, you have to rate it out of on unobtainium. How much unobtainium do you?
Well, I mean, okay, all right. I give it. Well, how many unobtainiums is it out of?
I don't know. It's unobtainable. You can't. It's hard to quantify.
Oh my god, this is the most difficult rating. I give it 3 question marks for unobtainium. 3 question marks of unobtainium.
That's either pretty high or pretty low. I don't know.
We'll never know. We can't obtain it.
Yep. When you were just talking about Avatar a second ago and you were explaining that, I was just thinking, could you imagine the guy that found it? Like, look what I found. I found this thing. Like, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah. The only way you could name that is if you didn't have it.
Yeah, it's like something that you don't know exists. How can you? I don't know. It just sounds ridiculous. If you found it, you wouldn't name it unobtainium, would it? No one can be that nuts. Unless
this is the thing
name.
They don't mention it in the second film, so we can imagine it's continued to be elusive.
Yeah.
All right, man. I think that's the monthly round hump.
Round hump done.
Round hump done.
I'm empty.
Round hump season 2. It's episode 2 rather.
Okay, man. then I guess we'll call it a day.
Let's call it a day. That was fun. We need to keep doing this every month. That
We
was
do.
fun. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. My name's Tobias, and I'm of Film Shrapnel.
And I'm Craig, and I'm also a Film Shrapnel.
And together we are both of Film Shrapnel.
Two pieces, two shrapnels from the
Two
same.
shrapnels cut in the same grenade.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, when we blow up all over your ear holes. Bye.
Bye.
Film Shrapnel.